Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Peter Vrionis, back with another episode of the Press Box Hat Trick. And today I got a very special guest on, the head coach of the Stingers men's basketball team, Rastko Popovic. Yes, you heard that right, Coach Popovic. So he's basically bred to be a head coach. So thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. Let's talk some hoops.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So I just want to talk a little bit about your upcoming season. Obviously, you guys didn't play any games last year. Nobody did. So I'm sure you guys are chomping at the bit to get on the court and play together once again. But I want to ask you a bit about your preseason tour that you had in Ontario. You went 0 for 5. You went 0 and 5. But I'm sure there are some positives that you could take away from it. You played some tough Ontario opponents, some good basketball teams. So obviously McMaster, Ontario Tech, Queens, Ottawa, and powerhouse Carleton. So what did your guys take away from that experience, and what positives did you take away from that as the head coach?
Well, I mean, it's, after not playing for over 600 days, it was nice to get on a court. The first 3 games, honestly, was, it was disappointing to lose those games, especially how we lost them. Again, I don't want to, get into too much details, but, we had a 7-point lead against McMaster with 2.5 minutes to go. Some missed free throws, some missed box outs, and just a couple of things that went wrong in a game that I felt we were the better team for most of the game. But then again, the final result is what speaks for itself. Ontario Tech, we kind of hung around up and down, and we still had a chance down the stretch in the game. And against Queens, I thought we played pretty good for about 37 minutes, and then we got outscored 13-0 in the last 3 minutes and 15 seconds of the game. So it was, I felt like all 3 games were very winnable for us. I just didn't think we did enough things to win the games. And, that's something that we try to tell our team. It's not good enough to play 35, 37 minutes. I understand it's been a big layoff and we haven't played in a long time, but at the same time, it's we got to find ways to win these games. And again, we played some weird lineups because we haven't had, we've had lots of injuries, especially to our forward position. So we've been playing kind of small ball in this whole preseason, something that should change once we get into league play. But, it's, again, nobody cares. It's no excuses. We didn't find a way to win those 3 games. And then obviously going into Ottawa, Carleton, 2 powerhouse programs where I actually felt we played decent for most of the games. For 3 quarters, we were right in the game. And again, they kind of wore it down with their depth and their size. So again, you're right. There were positives out of those games. We got to play a lot of our rookies, lots of minutes. They got on the court a lot because this year we had a shortened preseason. We kind of made sure to give our rookies extended time because you can't expect them to perform in season if they really haven't had a chance to play. Excuse me. And, at the same time, we want to see what they can give us because, we need some of these guys in league games. We're a pretty young team aside from a couple of fifth-year guys, and Sammy Gandour was starting power forward who hasn't played all preseason yet. So, basically we were a pretty young team out there. At times we had 3 rookies on the floor. And again, that hopefully will pay off down the stretch. But it was a good experience. Obviously, it sucked that we couldn't play a game at home. It's kind of 5 road games, and the first trip was 3 games in 3 cities in basically 3 days. Not something that I would recommend, but it was tough. But the guys were excited to play, and I wanted to give them that opportunity. I knew it was going to be hard, traveling in between Hamilton to Oshawa to Kingston each day, and it was good. I mean, we got our guys some team bonding in the hotel and spending time together on the road. So there were definitely positives, but we need to improve in certain things in order to be better in league play.
Yeah, and obviously those are things that you're going to iron out over the course of a season. But do you think it was like a conditioning issue maybe that you guys were maybe flattening out towards the end of the game?
No, necessarily. First McMaster game was more of a rebounding issue, size that we had on the court. We kind of played a small ball lineup down the stretch, and they hurt us on the rebounds. Some game management stuff was there more. In a couple of missed free throws. It was a mix of a couple of things.
Okay.
Yes, conditioning's probably not where it should be for certain guys who haven't practiced as much because of injuries. But even then, it is what it is. We had a chance. We didn't finish the games, and we got to learn from it. But like I said, I'm looking forward to these first 4 games, especially in the first semester of league play, to kind of hopefully some of the guys we're getting back for this week and next week see them in, because again, some of those guys will be the first time playing. So we haven't seen Samy Gendor play. We haven't seen one of our top recruits, Félix Antoine Gertin, play yet. A couple other first-year guys didn't play that much against Carleton, or one was hurt and didn't play. So it was it's lots of different lineups that I didn't think I would use this early in the year, but we used them and we tried things and it was good. We know what some things that worked well, some that didn't. So again, these first 4 league games will be kind of good for us to play everybody once and get a feeling of each opponent, and kind of then use the Christmas break to hopefully have everybody back and become the team we feel we can become by the end of the season.
And obviously the real season starts on Thursday. So you guys had all those like 5 games to kind of figure things out, and the real stuff gets going on Thursday. So what are you most excited for that matchup against McGill?
I mean, league games are exciting. Playing a crosstown rival is exciting. We don't need any motivation. I think neither team has won a game against U Sports competition, so I think everybody wants to get their first win. So I think both teams will be playing hard, trying to get that first win. I think they're a different team from 2 years ago, and they got a couple of senior guards back that are very good. They have some decent rookies as well. So I think it will be a matchup of, they're very good. So far in preseason, they've been very good defensively. We've actually done decent offensively. We just haven't been that good defensively. So it's kind of a matchup of, offense versus defense. So we'll see who can execute better on both ends. And again, like I said, both teams will be hungry. Both teams are trying to get their first win. There's not much love between Concordia and McGill, so we don't need any extra motivation for that. So
you can say that
guys
again.
are playing in this crosstown rivalry. They don't understand what it is to play Concordia against McGill until you do it for a few years, and then you really know what it's about. So again, exciting. Another road game for us. 6th in a row. So we got to go out there and try to get a win and compete. So that's what we've been preparing for them this week, and their style of play. They're very scrappy. They defend. They're physical. So things we just kind of want to match, and what we want to do and how we want to attack them. So it's been a good week of preparation. We're just hoping that it'll translate to the results on the floor Thursday.
Yeah, for sure. And I also wanted to ask you about maybe some new recruits that are coming in. So notably, you have some vets returning. Obviously, Samy Gendor, like you said, Olivier Simon as well is a 5th-year player. So which rookies should fans be on the lookout for? I know that you got a couple of big recruits, but some of them.
Yeah, I think we have like 4 or 5 guys that are going to be very good university players down the stretch. Like I said, some of them played a lot. We have Olivier Koumassou-Bernier from Sainte-Foy, who's obviously didn't play during the COVID year. That should have been his rookie year, but he's played a lot of minutes for us in preseason, even more than I expected. He's given us a lot of good stuff. We have Tyrell Williams from John Abbott, who led the CJEP league in scoring and rebounding. He's been a little bit banged up and hasn't played as much as we would have liked him to play in these exhibition games, but I think he's somebody who can be very good. We have Félix Antoine Gertin from Edouard Montpetit that I really, really like. He's a 6'6", 6'7" guy who can do a lot of everything. He can really shoot the ball for his size. He's a very, very smart player. Has a chance to, be a similar career as Olivier Simon, who's also coming from Edouard Montpetit. We have Steve Mbira Abomo from Brébeuf, who was a late addition to us. Steve is an excellent defender. Offensively, he can do a lot of stuff. He's a great offensive rebounder. He can knock down a shot. So he's very, very physical, and he's ready for this level immediately. And we even have Alec Faneuf from Cégep d'Outaouais, who's a smaller guard, but he's really, really strong. He can really shoot the ball. So we have, about 5 guys that I'm very excited in their first year. We have a couple of transfers that, Owen Sutinch from Adelphi at NCAA Division II, who's a transfer who's been starting for us at 2 guard. He's really our type of player. He defends, he talks, he's a great leader. He can knock down a shot. He's just exactly what we look for in players. And a couple other transfers in Olivier Cadieux from University of Ottawa. He played really well in the McMaster game and then kind of got hurt his shoulder, so he hasn't played much recently. Anthony Fisuru, who's transferred from McGill, who's had a decent preseason. He's rounding back in shape. We think he can be a huge addition down the stretch for us. So again, I think we have I named you 7 or 8 guys, 8 guys pretty much. I named you
Yeah.
new to the team that you expect contributions from. So I think that shows you, how many new guys we have. And like you said, oh yes, Olivier and Sammy in their 60 or 50 of eligibility, they've been around. Olivier, we obviously know how good he is. Sammy's been like the heart and soul of our team, that glue guy for us on the floor. You have Ogi Novoko too, who's a 4th-year returning, starting small forward. So we expect, a good season from him. But after that, it's a lot of first and second-year guys with our point guard, Sami Jahan, who had a great second semester pre-COVID, when we had some injuries. So, we need some work. We got long ways to go until where we want to be in February, but I think the talent's there, and we just have to make sure that we're getting better every week, and that we understand what's here at task. And the league is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat anybody on a given night. Winning some of these places is not easy. So, we're looking forward going into McGill one game at a time on Thursday and see what happens.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's my second year of university as well. So a lot of these new recruits, I saw them playing CEGEP, and I kind of, grew with them, now it's great to see the university league kind of get taken over by those guys that I was watching in CEGEP, and I know how great of players that they are. So you got some good ones in there for sure. And it should be a really exciting season because every team is in the same boat. Every team has missed a year of recruitment and 2 rookie classes, essentially. So on that note, I wanted to ask you, what do you think the biggest challenge this season is going to be for your guys in particular?
Biggest challenge probably,
Or
I
for
think.
you, maybe.
No, but our biggest team challenge probably going to be defensively to get to the level that we want to be. We've been very lucky for the last few years having guys like Ricardo Monge, Cedric Carolian. These guys were great defensive anchors for us, and Gary Merizia. These guys who played for us, who were tough, who can defend, physical. So I think our defense at the guard position, we need to get better because most of the guys who are playing are young. So I think defensively at the guard position, we'll need to get better. If you look at our scores, it's no secret that right now I'm sure people don't think we can defend very well with the amount of points we gave up in Ontario, but that's okay. Like I said, it's we got to start somewhere before you can improve. So we've been working.
Coach, it's preseason. You got.
We're working on it, and it's that's what we're gonna get. I think offensively we can be very good, but it's gonna take some execution and figuring out who can give us what. And like I said, we played 5 games, but we have not really played any games with the lineup that we would have liked to play. So the lineup that we're going to start against McGill probably hasn't played any minutes together this year in the game. Mm-hmm. So, there's we got to figure out and iron out. That's why I say these first 4 games are kind of be crucial for that, to see what we get from guys who haven't played a lot, and then kind of figure out, what are our best lineups, what do we want to do offensively, defensively with certain lineups. So there's a lot more basketball to be played, and like I said, we'll take it 1 week at a time, and we're focused on McGill for this Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your lineups. You touched upon it before. You said you guys were kind of forced to play small ball in the preseason, which wouldn't be the case when you have all your players available. So have you kind of come to a conclusion on who's going to be part of that starting 5 on Thursday, or is it still up in the air?
Well, it's mostly decided. I'd say about 80% of it is decided.
Okay.
Again, we're going with some guys practicing and who can do what and how much they can give us. We might have some guys who are on minutes restriction on Thursday, because obviously we got 2 more games coming up next week, and we got to make sure that they're guys coming back from injuries to make sure they don't overdo it, because we don't want anybody going back on the injured list again. So yeah, for most part, we've decided. I mean, even McGill has started a couple of different lineups, so we're not sure what they're going to start, but that's not going to have any impact. We'll have our starting lineup decided probably by tomorrow night, and we'll kind of roll with the guys we have there, and we'll see how McGill matches up, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I know it's a cardinal sin to ask you who's going to be starting, so I won't do it, and I don't want to give any help to McGill either, so we're going to keep that a secret until Thursday night. So I do want to shift the focus a little bit towards the NBA now, because it's not very often that we have a basketball guru on the show. Probably the first time in my tenure. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions about the early on season in the NBA, and that should about wrap it up. So I want you to give me 3 players in the entire league that have maybe stood out to you up until this point of the season.
Uh, I mean, it stood out. Some people are going to say, "Oh, that's normal," but I mean, I think Steph Curry's been unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Shows the impact. Last night he had 50 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Again, it's just he's Steve Kerr said last night he's in the best shape he's been ever, which is scary because that guy can just go and go and go. And just the way he's obviously Golden State's playing much better this year. They're healthier. They're waiting to get Klay Thompson back, but I just think Steph Curry's been fantastic. I think he's putting up another probably MVP season, especially if they keep winning as they are winning right now. So I'm definitely very, very, again, it's one of my favorite players, but just overall, I love how he plays the game, and it's all about team basketball. And like I said, some nights obviously he's unreal to watch, like a video game, when he's making shots, doing stuff. But just I don't think enough people appreciate how conditioned he is, how he can run around for 40 minutes, and a lot of players wouldn't be able to give that kind of effort for as long as he does. A lot of guys that just kind of get the ball in the ball screen. He's running around off screens, off handoffs, and everybody in the gym knows the ball is going up, and he still gets 50 points on you. That just speaks to how great he is. And so again, Steph Curry definitely be the.
But the thing about Steph Curry is that so many people, just casual basketball fans, they ask, why doesn't he just shoot 40 to 50 times a game? Like, they don't understand how tiring it is. Like you said, him coming off, moving off ball screens, cutting. His usage rate has been lower this year because the Warriors are just so much better than they were the year before. But what he does cannot be overlooked for sure.
Yes, on another level right now, what he's doing. Who else? That it's kind of been. It seems like it's wide open in both conferences a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Bucks are missing some players. Brooklyn doesn't have their whole team. Lakers don't have their whole team. So kind of, I like what the Bulls are doing. I think the big win against Brooklyn Nets last night again. And I think a lot of people have questioned about how that lineup's going to fit. So I think I like how DeRozan and Levine have fit together.
Yeah,
probably accepting a lower role on that team, but that lineup with Lonzo Ball is pretty good. But who else can put me on a spot here when you ask me about the play?
I know. I probably should have asked you beforehand.
I'm just trying to think. I think LaMelo Ball looked good early on with Charlotte, and obviously they have a couple injuries and they're struggling defensively. But I think it shows that he's going to be a really, really good talent. Barnes from the Raptors, I think it just shows, a lot of people are upset that the Raptors picked Barnes with the number 4 pick and not taking Jalen Suggs, who went to Orlando. And I think every single person now should be convinced that the Raptors did the right thing. I think it fits what they want to do. He's at his size, like he's just fantastic. Like he's 19 years old. Like he's only going to get better and better and better, which is scary because he's pretty good for a rookie.
Yeah.
I'm very, very impressed with him early on. Like I knew obviously that he was good, and I knew they did the homework on drafting him that high, but he's exceeded definitely what I expected for a rookie to come in and do things that he's doing. I think another rookie we got to give, credit is Mobley.
Yeah, he's great.
Cavs. And, Cavs are winning some games, and I think people don't realize that he's a big factor in some of these games. And I think that shows that, Cleveland hasn't had much success with some of the draft picks that they've had over the years, unfortunately. So I think it shows it was a really good pick. So, I think those 2 rookies are really standing out for me. And, teams do the homework and they get the right guys, which happens kind of half of the team seems like they miss every year.
Yeah.
I'm a Sacramento Kings fan, but I'm always disappointed how their picks have worked out in the past. But because we've had a lot of early high picks, but we just haven't had, that much success.
What do you think of Davion?
Sorry?
Davion
Mitchell's a good pick. I think he, it reminds me a bit of Donovan Mitchell as well, the way he plays. I think he defends, he can shoot the ball. So I think he'll have a good career in the NBA, especially early on. He can do a lot of these things. And Kings are a little bit better this year and they're playing better. But yeah, it's kind of early to say. But I think the two guys I named had a really, really great start of the year so far. So we just got to see where that takes them.
Yeah.
I can't think on the top of my head right now. Trying to think who else.
No problem, Coach. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. But also the thing about Scotty Barnes, why I was so happy about the pick itself is I'm a firm believer that if you want to win a championship in the NBA, your best player's got to be over 6'7", unless he's Steph Curry. So yeah, exactly. Like you got to have size. You got to have guys that are versatile and that can defend multiple positions to compete in the NBA, and that's got to be your star player. So I was happy with the pick, and he's a lot better than I thought he would be early on. Yeah. So he's looking great. And on that note, I also wanted to ask you about Pascal Syakum. They play the same position, him and Scotty Barnes. So do you think the Raptors should look to trade Pascal Syakum, or should they hold on to him?
So I think that's tough. I think they want to see how they play together now that Syakum's back. NBA is becoming a lot of positionless games, so you want guys who can kind of do everything, especially like you mentioned at size. It's not easy to find guys at 6'7" and 6'8" who can do things that these guys can do. I think Syakum has kind of taken some heat from certain fans that, I think people have to understand it. They lost Kawhi, then Kyle Lowry's gone. So I don't know, people just expect Syakum to be a dominant superstar, which I don't think he is. I think he's a very, very good player. So I think if you surround him with more good players, I think he can keep improving and becoming that good player. So I like the size the Raptors have all over the place now. They can put some really, really long lineups out there of guys who can dribble and shoot and attack and transition. So, for now, I think they're going to take an approach of looking how it's going together with these lineups. And it's also a question, we don't know around the league how much they could get for him as well. Like, which team would really want to give him a starter that's going to 35 minutes a game at 20-plus points a game. So we don't know the trade. I think these things are, I know obviously social media and fans like to discuss these things, but it's until you actually see how they play together, I can't see the Raptors just making the move for the sake of making a move. But now that it clicked back when you asked me one of the players that stood out, I think Marant is having a great start of the year. I think he's fantastic. He's moving really, like he's really taking leaps. Yes, he was an athletic guy who can just dunk on everybody and do stuff. Now he's really becoming a complete player at the point guard position. So I'm very, very impressed with how he's played early in the year.
Yeah, he looks very good. And on the case of Pascal Syakum, I don't think they should get rid of him either, just because who you trade him for, especially with his value being at an all-time low right now, are you going to get somebody back that's just as good as him? Probably not. And the picks that you do get in return for him, if you do get picks, they probably won't pan out to be as good as him either. So it's a lot of people like to make rash decisions and get rid of guys when they're not playing well, but you got to look and see who's better out there than Pascal Syakum that you could get for him. So that's the way I see it.
Philly doesn't want to just give Ben Simmons away because they're not good. What they get is not. Obviously the situation is far from ideal there because he's not playing and so, like he wants to play.
That's a mess. It's
a mess. But I think they're making sure that he's not, controlling the whole situation at this point. Obviously, I think they started finding, then he came back, looked like he wanted to be back, but obviously didn't really want to be back there. Then give him a chance to start seeing the doctors about his mental health and all the things. Then he didn't want to do it with their doctors. So then they had to start finding him again. Now he's back to see their doctors. So it kind of seems like he only, I don't know if this is true, but it kind of seemed like he only came back so he gets stopped getting fined.
Yeah.
So it's like salary, but at the same time, like you sign a $150 million contract and a commitment to play. What I'm saying is I think he should just play a few games and increase his trade value, kind of go out there, try to dominate, try to show people that you still have it because, who's going to trade for him right now?
Yeah.
not knowing what to get. Like, so it's kind of, people mentioned, oh, the Nets should trade Kyrie Irving to another market that, he doesn't need to get vaccinated. But I'm like, who's going to give up stuff for Kyrie Irving right now with everything that's been happening? Not only vaccination wise, it's just Kyrie likes to take 2 weeks off. And again, Kyrie's done so many things off the floor, but it seems like on the floor, some of the stuff is coming back to, his trade value is probably not very high right now. So, Brooklyn's not going to trade him because they're not going to get anything close to that in return. So, again, it's pro sports are not easy. There's lots of hard decisions to be made. And like I said, these teams are trying to make what's the best decision for them. And we'll see. It should be a fun season. We just hope that everybody's healthy and we should have some fun playoffs when it comes around next year.
Well, NBA Twitter is a whole other world. It's a whole other dimension. And the stuff that you read on there, you don't even feel like repeating it sometimes. It's a joke.
I think that's unfortunately. I think that's some days I'm like,
everyone's a GM nowadays. Everyone's a GM.
Knows everything, whether it's sports, whether it's science, whether it's vaccines, whether it's politics. Everybody knows everything, and they could do better than the person who's in charge. And again, and some people just feel like they have to share all their information and everything their social media, even though nobody asked them eventually. But again, it's their right. You can go on social media and post whatever you want. It's your life, and so to me, it's just kind of a little bit too much. So now I'm excited that we're back in season. So I don't have much time for that stuff. So. Just some days I read it on Twitter. Some days I just don't bother reading, and it's focus on things that we can control and one day at a time.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys back in action. It's going to be great seeing live basketball again. I was supposed to cover you guys last year, and I didn't get the chance to do that. So I'm back at it again this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. So good luck on Thursday against McGill, Coach. And I hope you guys have a great season. We'll do this again soon before the playoffs. All right. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.